Everybody, boy, another fun day Monday here, starting the week off. I've had this scenario happen to me just basically in the middle of last week. First time a scenario involving a bird killing a potential real estate deal for me has ever happened to me. I hope it's the last. In real estate, right, there's a billion things that can go wrong because there's so many variables, so many things that is absolutely unforeseen, unpredictable, impossible to anticipate. That can happen. I always kind of say, like, 1 in a million happens way more than 1 in a million in real estate, and this is one of those. It's like 1 in a billion, and it happened to me. But we didn't know what had happened until basically that evening. So I'm going to explain what happened. So I have a listing. Listing's been very active. We actually had it under contract at one point, and had to fall through due to a financing contingency. Buyers couldn't get financing. So back on the market. It's a great listing. It's a brand new home, only like 3 years old. Nothing wrong with it, and because we'd already passed inspection on the other one, so we know everything's good. And these brand new homes are typically pretty good, anyways. So this the listing, we lower the price a bit, which anytime you do that usually means that you get some extra showings, and so we got 2 showings, but we hadn't had a showing in, I'm just going to say, maybe like I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days. I don't know exactly. It had been a little bit since we'd had a showing. We had 2 showings booked on the same day. So I messaged the one showing gets done, or actually they're both done. No feedback was submitted, so we follow up and just say, hey, what's going on here? What's the feedback here? And because of the lawsuits, you don't really get a whole lot of feedback. And one of the agents finally texted me back and said, hey, there's there was this paint blotches and some paint splatter all over the floor in the home. And I'm like, well, that don't make any sense. How the freak would there be? And the sellers are vacated. The sellers don't even live in it, so it's a vacant home. I was like, that don't make any sense. And then another agent showed it later, and their response was, yeah, Steven, they liked it. There's this weird, like, kind of paint blotches everywhere. It's like it dripped from the walls and the ceiling, and it was real bad. I'm like, what the heck? None of this makes any sense. And the sellers they moved back to California. I was like, again, this is not adding up at all. So I contact them, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And we thought we had maybe figured out what had happened, or at least like putting 2 and 2 together, like how could this happen? And he says, let me get a neighbor to go over there. So he gets the current neighbor that they know to go over there and check the home. And so the 2 people, the 2 agents gave me feedback. They thought it was paint, blotch. They were saying blobs and blotches and stuff all over the floor. Well, they never mentioned anything about a bird. So I'm guessing whenever they were in it earlier that day, the bird was probably hiding. And because they never mentioned anything. If you said birds in there, somebody's going to leave that as feedback, like, hey, there's a bird in there, get the bird out. So they didn't mention anything about a bird. Well, the dang neighbor goes in there and is looking around. Well, in the bathroom, again, in a very open area, so there's basically no way to miss it. There's a dead bird in the bathroom. So somehow within the last, I don't know, from the showings, 5 hours or so, there was the bird had died. So it tells me it had definitely been in there a couple days, probably since the showing before these 2. It gotten in there, and that wasn't paint blotches, that was bird crap everywhere, all over the house, the interior of the home. Now, again, luckily on the floor, hardwood floor is easy to clean up. So I was able to get it cleaned up and not really a big deal. But yeah, and I kind of messaged the agents, hey, it's just bird crap. Of course, other people's kind of moved on, just gave them a bad taste. But it's kind of like where our market is, right? Any little reason, such as even if it was paint or bird crap, I'm just gonna pull it right here. That buyers are looking for a reason not to buy a house, and so they did, and they weren't interested in coming back around, even though it was something crazy. And what happens, and I do this same thing, right? So it's hard to like fault a real estate agent. You know, we go out the back door to show people, right? And we just kind of leave it propped open as we're like looking around the patio, and you know, you don't see a bird freaking swoop in, or you're checking out the backyard, and the bird just swoops in there, and you know, you don't know. And I guess that's what's happened. But I've never ran across a situation where a bird was got in the house, was in the house flying around in a real estate deal, but this bird killed the opportunity for it to sell. But luckily, again, it's solved now, and the place is cleaned up, and so we're ready to go. So if we're going home in Loudon, holler. It's now free of birds. But I figured I would share that because I mean, it's those things like you don't believe it unless it happens to you. So happy Monday. If you need anything, holler.